The reckoning arrives. The UES Infinitude cut through the darkness of space like a predator stalking its prey. Its obsidian hull absorbed starlight rather than reflected it, a ghost ship designed not for exploration, but for retribution. At 17 kilometers long, it was humanity's masterpiece of warfare, built over 20 years in the orbital shipyards of Titan after the fall of Earth. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge, her scarred face illuminated by holographic displays, showing the Caldari fleet in the distance. 47 vessels arranged in defensive formation around Vexus II, an agricultural world that supplied food to half the Caldari Imperium's core systems. She had studied Caldari fleet tactics for 15 years, ever since they had reduced her homeworld to radioactive slag. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the cold fury that had been her constant companion since that day. Commander Jackson Wu, her executive officer, stood at attention beside the tactical display. "The Caldari remain unaware of our presence, Captain. Their detection systems still can't penetrate our adaptive cloaking. Weapons systems at full capacity. The NOVA cannons are primed and ready." Elena nodded. "And the settlement scans?" "Confirmed, ma'am. 97% Caldari military presence. The few civilian structures appear to be administrative only." This wasn't just another Caldari world. Vexus II housed the commander who had personally ordered the bombardment of New Madrid, Earth's most populous colony and Elena's birthplace. 8 million humans had died in a single day, their screams silenced by the vacuum of space as atmosphere vented from shattered habitation domes. "Communications," Elena said, turning to Lieutenant Amara Singh at her station. "Any chatter from their fleet?" "Standard patrol communications only, Captain. They're conducting routine exercises." Amara's fingers danced across her console. "They have no idea we're here." For 3 decades, the Caldari had believed themselves untouchable. Their technological superiority had allowed them to subjugate or destroy 17 species across this sector of the galaxy. Humanity had been just another conquest in their expansionist campaign, until now. "Tactical assessment, Commander Wu." Jackson studied the display, his cybernetic eye whirring as it processed combat simulations. "Their formation is optimized against conventional attacks. They expect threats from known quantities, species whose capabilities they've already cataloged and dismissed. But they've never faced anything like Infinitude," Elena said, her lips curving into a smile devoid of warmth. "No, Captain, they haven't." The bridge fell silent as the crew watched Elena. They all knew what this moment meant. After the fall of Earth, humanity had scattered across the stars, forced to rebuild from almost nothing. While the Caldari continued their campaign of conquest, humans had worked in the shadows, pooling their resources, advancing their technology with a singular purpose. Helena tapped her neural implant, connecting to the ship's eye. "Artemis, initiate attack sequence Omega." "Attack sequence Omega initiated, Captain," responded the AI, its voice melodious despite the deadly command it acknowledged. "Deploying kinetic disruptors." From Infinitude's hull, hundreds of small silver objects erupted, streaking toward the Caldari fleet faster than their tracking systems could register. These weren't conventional weapons. They were humanity's answer to Caldari shield technology. Quantum disruption devices that created microsecond tears in the fabric of space-time, bypassing shields completely. "First wave impact in 5 seconds, Jackson announced. On the view screen, the Caldari fleet continued its patrol, oblivious to the approaching death. Then, without warning, 3 of their largest dreadnoughts simply disappeared, replaced by expanding clouds of superheated gas and debris. "Direct hits confirmed," Tactical Officer Rodriguez reported, his voice tight with grim satisfaction. "Their command vessel has been eliminated." The remaining Caldari ships reacted immediately, their formation dissolving into chaos as they attempted to identify the threat. Energy weapons fired blindly into space, hoping to hit an unseen enemy. "They're scanning on all frequencies," Amara reported. emergency signals being broadcast to Caldari High Command. Elena's eyes narrowed. They won't have time to respond. Artemis, bring us out of stealth. Show them who's come to collect the debt. The Infinitude's cloaking field dropped, revealing the massive human warship hanging in space like an executioner's blade. Its size dwarfed even the largest Caldari vessel, a testament to humanity's resolve never to be victims again. Open a channel, Elena ordered. Let them see us. The main view screen flickered, and a Caldari commander appeared. Their chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the lights of their bridge, compound eyes widening in what Elena recognized as their species' expression of shock. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the United Earth ship Infinitude," she announced, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's collective grief and rage. "Your empire destroyed our homeworld, massacred our colonies. Today, we bring the reckoning." The Caldari commander's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation. "Human vessel, stand down immediately. You face the might of the Caldari Imperium. Your species was judged inadequate for galactic citizenship. Your resistance is futile and—" Elena cut the transmission with a gesture. "They still think they're in control. Target their remaining capital ships. Fire no VA cannons." From the Infinitude's bow, 4 massive barrels extended, glowing with energy that rippled like liquid starlight. The NOVA cannons, nucleonic ordnance vectored assault, represented humanity's greatest achievement in weapons technology, harvesting energy from the quantum foam itself. When they fired, it wasn't with beams or projectiles, but with concentrated waves of force that unraveled matter at the subatomic level. 5 more Caldari ships simply ceased to exist, their particles scattered across space as though they had never been constructed. "They're breaking formation," Jackson reported, attempting to retreat. Elena's face hardened. "Not this time. Deploy interceptors. Nothing escapes." The Infinitude's hangars opened, releasing swarms of autonomous fighters. Unlike traditional craft, these operated on a neural network linked directly to their pilots who remained safely aboard the mothership. Each pilot controlled dozens of vessels simultaneously through their implants, reacting with machine-like precision to the desperate evasive maneuvers of the Caldari ships. Within minutes, the space around Vexus II was filled with the burning hulks of Caldari vessels. Their much-vaunted technology, which had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, proved inadequate against humanity's vengeance-fueled innovation. "Fleet neutralized, Captain," Jackson reported. "No survivors detected." Elena nodded, feeling no joy in the victory, only the cold satisfaction of a necessary task completed. "Prepare planetary bombardment protocol." For the first time since the battle began, hesitation flickered across Jackson's face. "Captain, our scans show there may be more non-military structures than initially reported. There could be civilian Caldari present." Elena turned to him, her eyes reflecting the fires burning on the view screen. "Were there civilians on New Madrid, Commander? On Earth? Did the Caldari distinguish between our warriors and our children?" Jackson lowered his eyes. "No, Captain. The Caldari understand only one language: power. Today we speak it fluently." She turned back to the view screen. "Artemis, target military installations first, then infrastructure. Standard bombardment pattern." "Acknowledged, Captain," the AI responded. Terraforming charges armed. Unlike conventional weapons designed simply to destroy, terraforming charges were originally created to reshape hostile planets for human habitation. Repurposed for war, they systematically broke down a planet's biosphere, rendering it uninhabitable for centuries. The first missiles streaked toward Vexus II, penetrating deep into the planet's crust before detonating. Massive fissures spread across the surface, releasing toxic gases from the planet's core. Secondary charges targeted water sources, converting them to acid. Within hours, the once verdant agricultural world would be a barren wasteland. On the bridge, the crew watched in silence. This wasn't the exploration their ancestors had dreamed of when humanity first ventured to the stars. This was survival in a galaxy that had shown them no mercy. As the planet's surface glowed with spreading destruction, Alina received a priority communication from Earth's provisional government. She took it in her private chamber, where President Callista Okafor's hologram appeared. "Captain Rice, we've received confirmation of your engagement at Vexus II," the president said, her expression grave. "The Council requests an immediate status report." "The mission proceeds as planned, Madam President," Alina replied. "The Keldari fleet has been neutralized, and we're currently rendering the planet uninhabitable. High Commander Vexthar, responsible for the New Madrid massacre, has been confirmed eliminated." The president nodded slowly. "And the next target? The Keldari colony world of Praetus Prime. It houses their largest shipyard in this sector. We expect heavier resistance, but nothing Infinitude can't handle." The Keldari colony world of Praetus Prime. It houses their largest shipyard in this sector. We expect heavier resistance, but nothing Infinitude can't handle. President Okafor's hologram flickered as she leaned forward. "Captain, the Council remains divided on our strategy. Some members advocate for attempting communication with other Keldari factions, exploring the possibility of negotiation now that we've demonstrated our capabilities." Alina's jaw tightened. "With respect, Madam President, the Keldari understand only dominance. They've had 30 years to approach us for peace. Instead, they hunted our refugee ships and enslaved those they captured. Negotiation now would be seen as weakness." "Perhaps," the president conceded. "But remember, Captain, our mission is to secure humanity's future, not to become what we're fighting against." When the communication ended, Alina returned to the bridge. Vexus II was now unrecognizable, its atmosphere thick with dark clouds as ecosystem collapse spread across the planet. "Set course for Praetus Prime," she ordered. "Maximum velocity." As the Infinitude's engines engage, propelling the massive warship into hyperspace, Alina studied the tactical projections for their next encounter. The Keldari would be expecting them now, marshaling their forces for a desperate defense. But humanity would not be denied its vengeance. The reckoning had only just begun. The price of victory. 3 weeks after Vexus II, the Infinitude hung in the shadow of a gas giant, hidden from the extensive sensor network surrounding Praetus Prime. The Keldari shipyard world had transformed into a fortress since news of humanity's warship had spread through the Imperium. Over 200 defense vessels orbited the planet, their weapons constantly scanning for threats. Alina studied the holographic display, watching the patrol patterns of the Keldari fleet. Unlike before, they were prepared now, expectant. Fear had made them cautious. "Their defensive grid is impressive," Jackson observed, standing beside her. "Overlapping fields of fire, redundant shield generators. They've even positioned antimatter mines throughout the approach vectors." Alina nodded. "They're learning. But so are we." In the weeks since their first strike, the Infinitude had targeted 3 more Keldari outposts, each smaller than the last but still strategically valuable. With each engagement, Artemis collected more data on Keldari response tactics, refining the ship's predictive combat algorithms. "Captain," Lieutenant Singh called from her station, "I'm detecting unusual communications from the planet. It's not using standard Keldari military frequencies." Alina frowned. "Explain." "It appears to be a civilian broadcast, Mom, and it's directed at us specifically." The bridge fell silent. This was unprecedented. The Keldari Imperium had never acknowledged humanity as worthy of direct communication, only issuing edicts of submission or extermination. "Put it through," Alina ordered after a moment's hesitation. The main view screen flickered, and a Keldari appeared, but unlike any they had seen before. This one's exoskeleton was pale, almost translucent, lacking the ornate markings of the warrior caste. Its compound eyes seemed larger, its mandibles smaller. Alina recognized it as a member of their scholar caste, rarely seen outside Keldari central worlds. "Vessel Infinitude," the Keldari began, Its voice translated through the ship's systems. "I am Archivist Vex Loren of the Keldari Conclave of Knowledge. I request a dialogue." Elena exchanged glances with Jackson before responding. "This is Captain Reyes. State your purpose." The archivist's antennae quivered slightly. "Captain, I speak not for the Imperial military, but for elements within Keldari society that wish to avoid further bloodshed. We have monitored your campaign against our outposts. Your technological capabilities have altered certain calculations." "You mean we're winning?" Elena said flatly. "And suddenly you're interested in talking." "I mean that many within the Conclave have long opposed the Imperium's expansionist policies," Vex Loren replied. "The military caste has dominated our society for centuries, silencing dissent. Your attacks have created opportunity for change." Elena's eyes narrowed. "You expect me to believe there's a Keldari resistance movement that conveniently appears now that we have the upper hand?" "Not resistance, Captain. Reformation. For generations, scholars like myself have documented the atrocities committed in the name of Keldari supremacy. We have watched species after species fall victim to policies we could not prevent." The archivist's voice lowered. "Including yours." Before Elena could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. "Captain." Rodriguez called from tactical. "Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. They're not Keldari configurations." The view screen split, showing a new fleet emerging from hyperspace near Praetus Prime. The ships were sleek, organic-looking vessels that moved with unusual grace. Centauri warships, Jackson identified them, surprise evident in his voice. At least 30 capital ships. And those smaller signatures, Sorelian attack craft. Elena's pulse quickened. The Centauri and Sorelians were older species that had been subjugated by the Keldari centuries ago, their military capabilities stripped away, their populations reduced to servitude. "They're engaging the Keldari defensive fleet," Rodriguez reported, confusion in his voice. "The Keldari are being overwhelmed. Their formation is breaking." On the screen, Vex Loren's compound eyes flickered in what Elena recognized as their equivalent of a smile. "As I said, Captain, opportunity for change. The Keldari Imperium has enslaved dozens of species, each nursing centuries of hatred. When word of your ship's victories spread, uprisings began across the Empire. These are the first fruits of that rebellion." Elena watched in stunned silence as species long thought broken and defeated tore into the Keldari fleet with unexpected ferocity. The balance of power that had defined this sector of the galaxy for a millennium was unraveling before her eyes. "Why tell us this?" she finally asked. "Why reach out?" "Because the future being written now will define 1,000 worlds for generations to come," Vex Loren replied. "And we have a choice, Captain. We can perpetuate the cycle of vengeance, reducing planets to ash until nothing remains worth fighting for. Or we can build something new from the ruins." The archivist transmitted a data packet to the Infinitude. "These are the access codes to Praetus Prime's defense grid. The rebels will breach the orbital defenses within hours, but the ground installations remain formidable. With these, you can neutralize them without widespread destruction." Elena stared at the data, suspicious. "This could be a trap." "It could," Vex Loren agreed. "But ask yourself this, Captain. What does the Keldari Imperium gain by saving a planet they're already losing? The military caste would rather see Praetus Prime destroyed than surrendered." Hours later, as the Infinitude joined the battle, Elena made her decision. Rather than bombarding the planet into oblivion, she deployed tactical strikes against military targets, using the codes provided by the archivist. Ground forces, actual human soldiers rather than automated systems, landed to secure key installations. For the first time since the fall of Earth, humans fought alongside other species against a common enemy. The Centauri provided air support with their organic ships that seemed to anticipate Keldari movements. Sorelian ground forces evolved for tunnel warfare on their harsh homeworld, infiltrated underground command centers with ruthless efficiency. From the Infinitude's command center, Elena coordinated the assault, watching as Predis Prime fell not to human vengeance, but to a coalition of the formerly oppressed. It was a victory, but a complex one that offered no simple satisfaction. 3 days later, with the planet secured, Elena met the Archivist in person within the captured Keldari High Command. Vexloren seemed smaller away from the imposing backdrop of holographic communications, the pale exoskeleton almost fragile under the harsh light. "Your species continues to defy expectation, Captain," the Archivist said, compound eyes studying her face. "The military caste believed humans would either submit or be exterminated. They never considered you might instead become the catalyst for their downfall." Elena looked out over the shipyards that had once built the vessels that destroyed her homeworld. Now they were filled with the diverse ships of the coalition forces, human, Centauri, Sorelian, and others she hadn't yet identified. "What happens now?" she asked. "We've broken the Keldari military, but their empire spans hundreds of worlds. There will be chaos." "Yes," Vexloren agreed. "Opportunity always looks like chaos at first. The Conclave has been preparing for this possibility for generations. We have representatives on every world, ready to guide the transition. But we cannot do it alone." Elena understood the unspoken request. "You want humanity's help rebuilding what we helped destroy." "I want humanity's perspective," the Archivist corrected. "You are unique among the species of this sector. You were nearly destroyed, driven to the edge of extinction. Yet here you stand, not broken but transformed. That resilience, that determination to survive no matter the cost, it will be needed in the days to come." As they spoke, Elena received a priority communication from the Infinitude. President Okafor had authorized direct negotiations with the Keldari Conclave of Knowledge and the representatives of the formerly subjugated species. A summit was being arranged on neutral territory to discuss the future of the sector. "Your Infinitude was built for vengeance," Vexloren observed as Elena prepared to return to her ship. "What will you build next, I wonder?" Elena thought of Earth, of the devastated colonies and the billions lost. The pain would never fully heal, the memories never fade. But there was a difference between honoring the dead and being consumed by their ghosts. "Something better," she replied finally. "That was always the point." In the months that followed, the UES Infinitude remained a powerful symbol, its weapon systems still primed but rarely used. It patrolled the borders of former Keldari space, ensuring the fragile peace held as new governments formed and old wounds began the long process of healing. Elena stood on the observation deck, watching stars streak by as they completed another patrol route. Jackson joined her, offering a data tablet with the latest reports. "The Centauri-Sorelian Coalition has officially recognized the new Keldari government," he informed her. "The Conclave's reforms are proceeding faster than expected." Elena nodded, scrolling through the information. "And the terraforming project. The first phase has begun on Vexus II. The environmental damage was severe, but the Centauri bioengineers believe they can restore it within a decade." It had been her idea, to use humanity's terraforming technology not for destruction this time, but to heal the wounds they had inflicted, to turn wastelands back into living worlds. "The President is asking about Infinitude's next mission," Jackson added. "There's talk of retrofitting her, less weapons, more diplomatic and scientific facilities." Elena looked up at the stars. For so long, her purpose had been singular. Vengeance for Earth, for New Madrid, for all humanity had lost. That purpose had sustained her through decades of planning, building, fighting. Now she faced the more complex challenge of building peace from the ashes of war. "Tell her we're ready," Elena said finally. It's time Infinitude lived up to its name, not just as humanity's sword, but as our bridge to something that lasts beyond revenge. As the massive warship continued its journey through the stars, its hull still absorbed more light than it reflected. But now, in certain angles of starlight, observers might notice something new. Sections being reconstructed, obsidian black giving way to silver and blue, the colors of Earth's lost oceans and skies, a reminder of what they were fighting for, not just what they were fighting against.